What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to teach you and I'm going to show you something very cool. This is the beginning of a series of videos in which we are going to see how to create a trading bot, but in this case we are going to use an artificial intelligence. Indeed, we are going to use a neural network, but the bot is going to contain, well, it's going to be built in Python and MQL5, and yeah, it's going to do that. But yeah, first of all, what do we have to do? As you know, artificial intelligence needs data, and it needs a lot of data. So that's what we are going to do now. We are going to generate that data. So first of all, let's open the MetaTrader 5 and let's do the following. So we come here to the IDE. I already have this created, no worries, I will explain to you. And if you come here to my GitHub, you will see this new repository. You come here to AI trading bot, and here you have the all that I'm going to do now. So here you have, for example, this file that is the one that we are going to create right now. So how do we start? How do we do this? As I told you before, you open the IDE, and here we are going to start doing some things. First of all, click on New, Expert Advisor. Let's give it a name. For example, Data Gen, because it's the one that is going to generate data. And yeah, let's make this big. Let's remove everything. And yeah, how do we start? First of all, we need to know that we are going to write a file. So for that reason, we may need to give it a name. So for example, let's declare here an input parameter, and this input parameter is going to be the name, well, let's put it file name. And for example, by default, the value is, well, the name is going to be data.csv. Let's put a comment so the user can see what we are doing here. Let's put file name, perfect. And then now what we have to do is to handle the file. So how do we do this? First of all, we can do this in the function onInit. We are going to open this in the function onInit. Remember that this function, what it does is that whenever you start the bot, it executes. Well, the function gets executed. So here, this is the perfect place for creating the file. So we are going to create here, well, declare here a file pointer, a file handler, and yeah, for that we create a variable that is just an integer. So here, now fp is going to be equal to file open, and here we have to give first the name, we have it here, file name, then the mode flags, and here you just have to put file write, because you are going to write into the file. Then here, the delimiter, put a 0, and then the code page, just leave it like this. You don't need to put anything else. So with this, we have the file opened, but later on, we will want to close it. So here, we are going to create another function called onTheInit, and yeah, here we are going to put that whenever the bot gets closed, so we close the bot, whenever we close the bot, what we are going to do is to call the function file close fp, and yeah, that's everything we need for this file. Then the next thing that we need to do is to write the header of the file. Remember that in artificial intelligence files, the .csv files, we usually have a header, for example, naming the attributes and also naming the class. So for this, we are going to do the following. But before any of these things, I have to tell you one thing. How is the artificial intelligence going to work? What is it going to take? We are going to take the RSI, and we are also going to take 10 values. The last 10 values, we are going to take all those values, and then we are going to take the increments of the standard deviation. Let me show you. So for example, here we have the standard deviation, and what we are going to do is to, for example, let's say that we are going to take the last 10 values, and these are the last 10 values. As you can see, the values are decrementing, but we are not going to send the neural network these values, for example, 13, 12, no. We are going to send that here, for example, we have 13, then we had an 11, so we are going to return that difference, which is -2. So it means that the indicator is decrementing. So yeah, we are going to send that. So how do we do this? First of all, again, we need to declare the header. And how do, for example, we create here a variable called file header, which is a string, and now we are going to do the following. For int I equal to 0 and I less than, and this is important, how many values of each indicator do we want to take? So for example here, we could take 10 increments, and in the RSI we could take again 10 values. So for that, what we can do is that we can create here an input, and this is the number of values to take. Perfect, and this is going to be 10 values to take. Okay, and here I less than num values to take. Perfect, I plus plus. So for example, let's say that the first values that we have are the RSI. So for that, we are just simply going to do file header like this, and here we put RSI, and let's concatenate the number like this. Perfect, but we also need to concatenate a comma. Okay, now we need to do the same, but instead of the, well, for the standard deviation. So we take all this, oh wow, not this, we take all this, and then we just simply copy here. So here, instead of RSI, we can put std inc of increment, like this. Perfect. So yeah, now that we have this, we have the string with everything we need to, well, with everything that we need. But we need another thing I forgot, which is the class. So here we need to put at the end class. Perfect. So now we actually need to, well, we need to actually write that into the file, this data, the header. So how do we do this? It is as simple as calling file write. We need to send the handle, we have it here, fp, and now what we want to send, this string. So here we're going to put file header. Perfect, so we have now written the file header. What else do we have to do? I said that we are going to use the RSI and the standard deviation indicators. So for that, we are going to declare the handlers, for example, like this, standard deviation like this, and now the arrays in which we are going to store that. So for example, RSI is going to be something like this, and the standard deviation is going to be something like this. Perfect. So let's start the, well, let's declare and initialize those indicators. So for that, we are going to say RSI is equal to the current symbol, the symbol in which this is attached, the current period, and the MA period, the moving average period. So for that, this one is going to take 14 periods, and the price applied is the price closed. So we are also going to take the standard deviation, I forgot, and yeah, std, and here we need the symbol, we need the period, and we also need the MA period, which is, for example, let's put 20, no shift, mode simple, and apply it to the price close. Okay, another thing I forgot to explain to you is that, hey, what are you going to do with this? Like, what we are going to do is that we are going to search for booms in which we can open a sell. So for example, this is the sell, well, the boom market, and we want to categorize these booms so we can open an operation here, and we know that there is a big probability of having, for example, 5 bars, 2 bars, etc. So we are going to do that. So the artificial intelligence is going to know which boom is the perfect one to open an operation. Okay, having this said, let's continue. And now that we have this, we should initialize several things. Also, I forgot, here we need to declare this MQL rates variable array in which we are going to store the candles. So now we need to set this array as a series, array set a series, and here we are going to put, for example, the array RSI and true, and we actually have to do the exact same for the following ones, for the std and for the candles. Perfect. And now I think that we truly have finished with this onInit function. We don't need to initialize any other thing. Now we can continue with the onTick function. What do we want to do on every tick? So here, void onTick. Perfect. The first thing that we need to do is to load all the information needed. So for example, we are going to load the information from an indicator and we need first the handle. So we are going to send this handle, then the buffer num. This is very simple. How many values does this indicator, for example, have? Only one line. So for example, we are going to set the 0. If we were using the MACD, which has two values, the MACD1 and the signal, we would need to use the 0 and the 1, but there are some macros defined for that. For example, let me show you this very easily and very quickly. MACD. If we look for this, you can see that here in notes, it is telling you that, hey, 0 for the main line, you can actually use main line, and 1 for the signal line. So you can basically put here main line or 0, whatever you want. But yeah, here we are going to put a 0. The starting position, we are going to take values from the last one. So the last one is the 0. And how many do we want to take? Here we have this variable, and I forgot here to put this. We have this variable, so we put this number. And now we need the array in which we are going to store this, which is the RSI. Now we need to actually do the same with the standard deviation, but here there's a small difference. Apart from changing these names, take into account that we are going to take the increments. And in order to take the increments, let me show you this. For example, if we have here 10 bars, which is the increment of the first one? We need the previous one, so we have the increment. So for that, what we only need to do is here taking one more value. That's it. Now, instead of using copy buffer, we are going to use copy rates to take the candles. So here we need the symbol, the actual symbol, the period, the current period, and now the starting position, again, the 0, and we want the num values to take. Perfect. So now we need to store this in the candles array, and we have finished with loading data. Now we have to kind of simulate the trading, and what we are going to do is the following. So if, and for example, let's say that the previous candle is a boom, we need to categorize that candle. We are going to create here previous is boom. If the previous one is boom and we don't have another operation opened, and opened operation, not open operation, we are going to do some things. But you may be wondering, hey, what is this? And what is this? Let's start by this second one. This is a variable that we are going to create here. Let's call it bool. Oh, not this. Let me copy this so I don't write it in a wrong way. Perfect. Yeah, at the beginning it's going to be false, so we can enter here. And this is going to be a function to check if the previous candle is a boom. So this is going to return a boolean, true or false. And to do this, we are going to put, candles. We take the previous one, which is the 1. And then let's say if the close is above the open, let me put here a 1. We need to, we are going to say that this is a boom because it is going up. Perfect. So now that we have this, the next thing that we need to do is to emulate that trading that I told you. But before that, we need to store now the attributes of that boom. So for example, a boom happened. Let me close this. A boom happened, and now we need to store the values for the standard deviation and the values for the RSI. That, by the way, just to make this more simple to understand, let me open here an RSI so you can all understand what I'm saying. So Let me put here RSI accept. Yeah, so that's what I mean. We are going to store the last 10 values of this, the last 10 values of this, and that's it. So how do we do this? It's very similar to what we have done here. What we have to do is that, for example, let's create here a string which is going to be called RSI data. At the beginning is going to be empty, and now we are going to create a loop, and in fact I'm going to put this. Perfect. And now the following thing that we need to do is that we need to, first of all, since this array may contain a lot of decimals, we are going to normalize that. So for example, in order to do that, we are going to do double RSI normalized, and here we are going to call the normalized double function. We are going to send a value. Let's send the RSI and the index in which we are right now in the loop, and here we are going to send the digits. Let's use the digits of the current market. So we don't have many, but we have enough. Perfect. So now that we have this normalized, we need to fill this string. So let me put this like this. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, so we could do the following: RSI data plus equal, and here we have the RSI normalized, and we can use the double to string, sending the value of the RSI normalized. And remember, we need to put here a comma. This is very important. So now we have the RSI. We need now the standard deviation. It is almost the same. So here, let's put std data. Here, let's put std increment. Remember, it's the increment normalized. And here, instead of RSI, let's put std. But we don't want this value. We want the increment. And remember, how do we compute the increment? So for example, which is the increment between this value and this value? Here this one is 13 and this one is 14. We subtract 14, the last one, minus the previous one, 13. So that's what we are going to do here. Here we are going to say, okay, this one, which is the last one, minus the previous one, plus 1. That's why it was very important to put here a plus 1. Perfect. So now that we have this, we can put this here, and instead of RSI data, let's put here a standard deviation data. That in fact, we could just simply put here data, not declare anything here, and yeah, let's do it this way so it's more simple. Now in this string we have almost everything we want, but now we actually need to emulate that trading. We need to say, hey, is this position that we would open okay? Would it be nice? Would it, well, not nice, like would it be successful? So we need to do that. But for that we need to declare some variables. We have here the open the operation. This is fine. We are going to put this. Now it's true because we are emulating that we have an open operation. And now we are going to declare here a variable. Let's put it int num candles. So we do the following. So for example, let's say that we open a position after this boom, and we always want to take 2 candles. So after 2 candles, we close the position. So that's what we are going to do. Here, we are going to create another parameter because maybe the user doesn't, well, not the user, you don't want only 2. You want, for example, 3. So you can change that. So for example, we are going to put candles to close OP of operation. Let's put 2. And here, let's put that. Candles, well, number of candles to close an operation. Perfect. So here we are going to store the num candles, the current one, and for that we are going to use this function bars, which needs the symbol and the current period. Perfect. So now that we have this, we almost have all the information. We also need the price at which this operation was opened. So here we are going to call this price open, and let's say that is equal to the candles 0.close. Perfect. So we need to declare this variable. So we come here. Okay, here I forgot to put num candles equal to 0, and we are going to put double price open equal to 0 as well. Okay, now that we have this, we are truly ready to continue with that trading. So now, what we can do here, we were checking if the previous candle is a boom and there is not an operation opened. What we can do now here is that else if, in case this condition is not fulfilled, what we are going to do is that, okay, is an operation opened? In case there is an operation open, we need now to check, okay, has enough time passed since the operation was opened? So in order to check that, we are going to say, okay, num candles plus, let's put, for example, here is the candles to close operation, here, like this. If this number is less or equal than the current number of candles, so for example, let's put here a symbol, period. Okay, if this is like this, it means that some time has passed. So for example, that 2 candles have come. So 2 minutes in the case a candle is a minute have passed. So yeah, now that we have this, the following, oh wow, not here. Okay. The following thing that we have to do here is that we need to write at the end of this data line, because we haven't written this in the file yet. We need to wait until we have the result. So we are going to put if the class is 1 or 0, success or fail. So for that, we are going to say, okay, if the price open is bigger than the candles 0 close, the actual price, then file write, and we are going to write into the file, okay, first the handle, and then the data that we have, plus, well, this is concatenate, a 1. Remember that here, always at the end, we are writing a comma, so here we have a comma before, and we don't have any issue with that. Else, if the price, well, remember, like, if the price is above and we are opening a sell, this is fine. But if the price is, well, if the current price is below and we open a sale, that's fine. But if the current price is above the price in which was opened, we have a problem. And is that operation was not successful. So here, we are going to put here a 0, and yeah, that's fine. Next, we can reset these variables, for example, data, we can reset it to be like this, and open operation, we can put it to false. So we allow the bot to open more operations. So yeah, I think that's everything. Let's compile. Okay, here we have data that is not declared. So here we are going to declare the string data. And yeah, the first value is going to be this one. Save. Here, last, undeclared identifier last, single quote. Okay, I forgot here that this is not a single quote. This is like this. And okay, that's fine. So here, this is not an int. Oh wow. This is a string, in case you want to change that value. Declaration of data hides global variable, and here this data doesn't need to be declared in this way. And okay, now we don't have any errors. So now how do we test this and how do we check if everything is fine? We come here to the metadata 5, and in order to generate a lot of data, let's say that we want to generate the data from the last month. So now we are going to check every boom in the last month, and we are going to generate that data. So in order to do that, we put the test to the last month, we select our bot data gen, and now you don't click any of this stuff, only leave this to real ticks, and you don't put the visual mode, and you click start. You are going to check that this is going to be very fast. Indeed, yeah, it was like that. But now, where is that file stored? So for example, if we come here to file, open data file. Since we did a test, you have to come here to meta quotes, to this folder you have to go backwards, and here you come to tester, and yeah, you come inside this file, well, this folder, and inside here you come now to agent, you saw that, and here in MQL file you have files, and here you have this file named 0, and this is very strange. Okay, so the error was so simple because here the file name is 0, so I don't know what happened. Here we can put data.csv, perfect, and now we click again on start, and check this out. Now here we have data, so we can open this with Visual Studio, with Visual Studio, and yeah, let's open that, and here you have the file, and it's the way we want. So here we have the header, well, the first line, and here we have the following lines with the data that we want. So that's everything for this video, because this is how you create these things, and basically this is the thing that we wanted to create. So yeah guys, if you understood the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.